Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Most people think of flea markets as a Saturday treasure hunt, something casual, local, maybe even improvised. But if you look closer, you're not looking at a random collection of tables, you're looking at a working micro-economy. This is where my family, culture, and enterprise series begins at the intersection of grassroots hustle and real business structure. The question isn't just what people buy here. The deeper question is what kind of business platform is the market itself? From the shopper's view, this is a visual treasure hunt. Handmade goods, vintage finds, resale items, food, bargains, and community vibes. It feels informal. It feels fun. But that surface view misses what's hidden underneath. Because while shoppers browse, vendors are testing products, generating cash flow, supporting households, and trying to turn hustle into something durable. What looks casual on the surface often has very serious economic intent underneath. Work, routine, business. Success here isn't an accident, it's a rhythm. A vendor's day starts long before the customers arrive. Sourcing, packing, transportation, setup, displaying, pricing, waiting, negotiating, selling, and then tearing everything and breaking everything down just to bring it up the next day. That rhythm is repetitive and labor intensive. And that's the point. This isn't just a hobby when it becomes recurring. The work becomes a business when the vendor stops selling whatever they have and start systematically sourcing what the market wants. At first glance, it looks like the market is just selling products, clothes, crafts, tools, food, resale goods. But here's the hidden reveal. The operator isn't mainly selling products. The operator is selling access. They're selling stall space, location, rules, safety, and customer density. The vendor is buying a chance to convert foot traffic into sales. So what's really being sold is visibility and market access. The shopper sees products, the vendor sees opportunity, and the operator sees a system where organized traffic become monetizable. This model works beautifully because it lowers the threshold of entry in the business. A seller doesn't need a full lease, utilities, staffing, and a week-long storefront schedule. Instead, they could buy a small stall, show up on market days, test with sales, and learn in public at lower cost. This is bootstrapping in action. Entrepreneurship broken into smaller, reachable, yieldable pieces. And that's why the stall matters. For many people, it's the first floor storefront they actually can reach without taking on the kind of debt traditional retail can require. These markets are more than often than just commercial spaces. They're places where family members work together, where cultural goods and foods carry identity, and where language and trust shape the transactions. A booth might look like one person selling, but underneath it can be supported by family labor, shared sourcing, and household sacrifice. In many cases, the hidden capital isn't money, it's family effort. That's part of what makes these markets resilient. They allow entrepreneurship to emerge through relationships and community, not only through your formal corporate pathways. Markets like your famous Santa Monica flea market and local ones like the ones in Berlin, New Jersey highlight scale and recurrence. Cowtown positioned itself as a year round market with hundreds of vendors and recurring days. Magic City, Miami operates multiple days a week. That recurring schedule is the engine. It creates habits for shoppers and predictable selling windows for vendors. And here's the operator's hidden job: a place credible enough that vendors believe the traffic is worth the table and shoppers believe the trip is worth the time. When that happens, the market becomes more than an event. It becomes a platform that supports repeated enterprise. The business model canvas snapshot looks at the vendor as the customer segment that might be bargain shoppers, collectors, repeat locals, or people hunting for something specific. The value proposition isn't just cheap stuff, it's discovery, flexible pricing, direct access, and personal selling. The channel is the booth itself, plus repeat attendance and word of mouth. Sometimes social media layer on top of that. Your key resources are your inventory, your display, your labor, and your personal hustle. Your key activities are sourcing, transporting, setting up, selling, and returning. And here's the key point: even a small booth can represent a real business model: lean, exposed, modest, but very real. Yet, your strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat snapshot tells us where there are the trade offs. Your strengths are in accessibility, low overhead compared to a full store, visual selling, flexibility, and vendor destiny. Yet, your weaknesses are traffic dependence, weather exposure, thin margins, and limited scale for many sellers. Your opportunities are very powerful. Stalls can incubate brands, online shops, catering concepts, and eventually storefronts. But your threats are very real as well: weak attendance, rising booth calls, oversaturation, e-market competition, and poor market management. So, flea markets aren't simple commerce. They're business environments where accessibility and vulnerability exist side by side. The big takeaway is this: flea market and vendor markets are not just places to shop, they are an entrepreneurial entry system. They let family, side hustlers, and small sellers participate in commerce through shared infrastructure instead of carrying the full burden of traditional retail bloat alone. The visible business is the booth, but the hidden business is the ecosystem around that booth. These markets turn space, traffic, repetition, and low cost access into a genuine pathway into business. What looks informal on the surface may actually be one of the most accessible commercial ladders in the local economy. The customer sees the shopping, the vendor sees the opportunity, the operator sees an ecosystem. Yet, the booth may look small, but for many sellers, it's the first real storefront they can afford. Thank you.